December 11th, 1990, Hobbs, New Mexico. A young mother, accompanied by her second husband, holds a lonely roadside vigil. She is waiting for her mother and her 4-year-old son. By nightfall, there is still no sign of them.
An hour went by, and we waited. Every time a car would pass by, I'd get all nervous. But I just couldn't leave and go back home. I knew that she'd taken off with him. I knew she wasn't coming back.
By midnight, LaDonna Morrow is forced to accept the unthinkable. Her son has been kidnapped by her own mother. LaDonna Morrow readily admits that her relationship with her mother had always been stormy, but she never imagined that her mother would go to such lengths. The background to this carefully planned abduction is almost as bizarre as the act itself. A grandmother has created a scenario of incredible proportions that has separated LaDonna Morrow from her son Jared for more than a year. Perhaps one of our viewers can help bring Jared home to his mother. Jared Peters was 4 years old when he was abducted by his grandmother. He was born on November 5th, 1986. His parents were still teenagers, but by the time Jared was 3, the marriage had fallen apart. LaDonna took a full-time job and went back to school.
Good morning, LaDonna.
Hello,
Hi, Jared.
I've got to go to class. I'll be through about 6:30.
She asked her mother, Pat Farmer, to help care for Jared. Pat agreed, even though she had been violently opposed to the divorce.
My mother was the type of person, as long as she was getting her way, everything was fine. We were good friends when I was doing exactly what she thought I was supposed to be doing. But after I separated with Brian, I moved in with my dad, and she just thought, well, if you can't do what I think you should do, then you're just terrible. And so she just went from my little friend to my worst enemy.
I learned that the name of the horned god was Lucifer, and I learned...
LaDonna Morrow would have been horrified if she had known how her son was spending his days.
Isn't that a pentagram?
Using home video cassettes, Jared's grandmother had begun exposing him to images of Satanism and the occult.
According to my Bible, witchcraft is witchcraft.
There was a few times that Jared came back upset or just not acting himself. He acted like there was something wrong and he needed to rely on me, but something was holding him back.
Do you remember when you went to the bad house, Jared?
Over a period of months, Pat began tape recording odd conversations with Jared.
Really ugly.
It was all part of a secret master plan.
You told Mimi? You said that you went to the bad house, and it was all dark, and all those people were there, and they did mean things. Think real hard, Jared. You need to say yes instead of nod your head, Jared, okay?
Yes.
Yes. That's a good boy. Jared, do you remember when you told Mimi that you went to the bad house?
In September of 1989, Pat began playing edited tapes of her recordings with Jared to a receptive audience. LaDonna's estranged husband, Brian.
Pat, I don't know if I could believe LaDonna do something like this to Jared.
Brian, you heard Jared on the tape. You're doing terrible things to him.
Jared would say that there was a mean house and that this monster was mean to him, that monster would take him in a pool, like a bathtub, and molest him and spank him and make him do things that are bad. And when I heard this, I got mad. I mean, I was very angry.
At Pat's urging, Brian took action. During one of his son's visits, Brian decided not to allow Jared to go back home with LaDonna.
Hi, LaDonna.
Hi. Mother, I need to talk to you about Jared.
He's not here right now, LaDonna. I told you he's not.
I know you know where he's at, though, Mother.
Yes, and he's being well taken care of.
This isn't right. I went to my mother's house to try to talk to her to find out what was going on with Brian. Why was Brian keeping Jared away from me? Because I did know that my mother and Brian had been talking and that Brian had stayed out at her house quite a bit. Brian is just trying to hurt us.
I know.
He knows.
But there's other things going on, LaDonna, that I'm real aware of, and
You
need
have
to...
absolutely no right to keep him from me. He's my son. It just kept getting crazier and crazier, and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I called constantly trying to find out something, what was going on. And they would never tell me nothing.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
At a custody hearing in December of 1989, Pat Farmer's audio tapes of her conversations with Jared were entered into evidence. LaDonna and her fiancé Neil were accused of emotional and sexual abuse.
And there also is an indication that there may have been an involvement in a satanic cult. Jared has been...
For the first time, LaDonna realized the full scope of her mother's manipulation.
She was making it sound like I was the devil in disguise. My mother made it out like I was the worst thing that ever walked this earth. Why she would try to hurt me like that is beyond me.
The court finds it is in the best interest of Jared Peters that his legal and physical custody be placed with the Department of Human Services until this matter can be fully investigated.
I'd never expected her to accuse me of being a devil worshiper. She knows I've always been involved in church. The things that were being said about me were so embarrassing and such a letdown. And it hurt my feelings so bad. I was just at a total loss for anything to say. And it seemed like all of it was being taken away. All my dreams and hopes for him were just kind of crashing down on top of me. I kept thinking they're gonna change their minds, but they didn't.
Can his name be John?
John. Okay, that's a good name.
LaDonna was allowed to visit with her son for just 1 hour every week. Each visit was held under the watchful eye of a social worker.
I tried to make him feel like he was the best thing in the whole world, which to me he was. We would play, and I'd take him new toys, and we had a good time. But it was so hard to leave, so hard to walk away from him.
Brian was also allowed to see Jared once a week. During one visit, the truth of Pat's deception began to emerge.
It was just us two, and we went to the park and had a good time, and he finally opened up to me. He said that Neil and LaDonna weren't hurting him. They weren't doing anything, that Pat had told him to say that they were doing it.
Brian immediately contacted the sheriff's department. Pat retaliated by charging that he too was involved in Satanism. The sheriff's investigators determined that Pat Farmer's allegations were groundless. After 2 months, LaDonna was finally reunited with Jared.
Come on, Jared, let's go.
However, the court did grant Pat Farmer 1 visitation day per month with her grandson. December 11th, 1990 was a scheduled visitation day for Pat. She wanted to take Jared on an out-of-town trip.
Hello, LaDonna. Hi, Jared.
Come on, Jared, let's go with Mimi. We was talking, and she wanted to take Jared to Lubbock.
Take Jared to Lubbock shopping with me today.
And I told her no, she couldn't. And she just got furious. She got really mad.
Let's go with Mimi.
And I just told her, I'm sorry, you just can't take him out. And she said, all right, and we agreed to meet out at the intersection for me to pick him up at 9 o'clock.
Pat Farmer never brought Jared back. She and Jared have not been seen since.
It was just so unbelievable. After all that we went through to get him back, she would be so hateful and so crazy, so mean to take him away again.
Update. On August 20th, 1992, Pat Farmer and her grandson were taken into custody by the FBI in Salt Lake City. Jared would finally be going home. Informed that Jared was safe, LaDonna drove all night from New Mexico to Utah to welcome him back.
The first time I saw Jared, it was so neat. I was so excited. I was really nervous, but it was great. It was the best thing in the world. I was real excited, and he was amazed, and we just reunited real easy, and everything's been great since.
I was very excited when Jared was found. LaDonna called me. It was about midnight, and I was about to cry. I was so happy. You know who that is? That's you. I think Jared's doing very well for what he's been through. I think he's adjusted real well. But I don't think that he realizes what really has happened.
Today, Brian and LaDonna share a hope that the events of the last 2 years will not have a lingering effect on Jared.
It's hard to say, what's going to happen from here. I just want things to be stable and everybody to be happy and all the hurting to stop.